Hey everyone, welcome to a new video, welcome to my channel. My name is Maaike and today I have my August wrap-up for you. Well, August wrap-up, there's a reason why we're not filming this in front of my bookcases, and there's a reason why there's no thumbnail with books, because I didn't read. I only finished one book and it was an audio book, so I don't even have it here physically. So nothing to show you. I'm still stuck in Far From the Madding Crowd, which is what I was trying to read all the way at the start of summer break, which was like 7 weeks ago. I'm not sure what happened. I hit a major reading slump, and so I just wanted to film a video and address all of that. But before we do that, let me talk about the one book that I did finish. And I even need to look it up what it was called. It wasn't very good, I have to say. So the one book that I managed to finish is Limelight by Emily Organ. And it was just a book I very randomly found on the Storytel app, and I thought it would be okay. I mean, it seemed to be like this Victorian mystery kind of like, ooh, detective kind of story about a lady who was dead and then she was shot again. So then she apparently wasn't dead in the meantime. And there's a girl, like a journalist, who is her friend, who is then roped into the investigation by one of the police officers because she used to know this lady. And this is the first book in a series that seems to have been ongoing for quite some time. And it just sounded like something that I might enjoy because I like these sort of like Victorian detective, you know, kind of stories usually. But the problem is that this one wasn't very well done. So it was enjoyable because I mainly listened to this when I was redoing my wardrobe and my declutters, which if you follow my other channel, I can link you here to that video. So I did show you that there, and I listened to it mostly then, and it was a good distraction. It was good to have something on in the background kind of thing, but the storyline was nothing special. The characters were a little flat. The narrator of the audiobook had a lisp. So it had this little thing going on the entire time. So it wasn't very successful. I quite liked it. It was entertaining. It was entertaining, but it wasn't really good. So I just think that I was just a little unlucky. And I think I read quite a couple of really good books, especially in the past few months, I felt. And I wanted to really get a lot of reading done over the summer break. That was the plan. And to like film a tome topple and read a really big book. And while I was in the midst of this, I just kind of fell off the wagon, and all of a sudden Netflix took my interest, because that's definitely what happened. I mean, we were going through a heat wave here as well. I had a very hard time because of the temperatures we had. Very hard time focusing on things, so I ended up finding it just far easier to just switch on Netflix and watch movies. I think I actually ended up watching about 40 to 50 movies in the like latter half of my my summer vacation. Like I would watch like 3-4 movies a day that I hadn't watched yet, or rewatch some of my favorites. So for me, reading was definitely on the back burner. And it wasn't even on my mind. Like, it's one of those things where like, yeah, I've got this book lying right in front of me on my coffee table. And I wasn't, like, I was passing by it every single day. And only the past week, I've really been feeling like, oh yeah, I need to pick up the book again. I need to go back to it. And I still want to finish it because this is, of course, a classic. And I did read a third of the book already. It only has 300 pages, and I'm 100 pages in. So I'm already invested in the story, and I still kind of know what's going on. So I think that sometime this month I hope to be able to finish this. I definitely want to. It's just that I had a bit of a it's only that that's why this video is going up a week later than it's supposed to. I didn't really feel very well for an entire week. It was a bit vague. I had all these very strange symptoms, and it wasn't corona, and it wasn't a flu, and it wasn't a cold. The only thing I was incredibly tired. So now that I finally feel like I'm back, you could say, I do feel like reading again. So I hope to be able to pick this up, I don't know, sometime this weekend, and hopefully finish it. So far, this is not going to be my favorite classic of all time like it is for some people, is my prediction. But I also feel like I'm now at a point where it's going to get interesting, because I feel like we've only just been introduced to the 3 main love interests of the main character. So in case you don't know what this is about, I'm still in the midst of it, so don't quote me on anything. But we start with a shepherd, and he sees a lady and he kind of like instantly falls in love with her. And she then moves into a nearby town and takes over a farm. And she is called Bethesda? Is that her name? What's her name again? Bathsheba, that's her name. And this lady is then, you know, you have the shepherd, and then there's someone who also owns some land in the neighborhood, and there's a sergeant, and they are all going to be vying for her hand. And I've just finished a part where this sergeant is first introduced, and this is supposed to be, you know, a good classic, not one that's super difficult to read. I always find with classics I always feel a little distant from the story. So that's probably why the slump happened. I didn't like the insta-love at the start where the shepherd is like, he blinks, sees this lady and is like, oh, would you marry me? I was like, whoa, that went fast, hold up. The lady character is definitely supposed to be quite sassy, but the thing is, because of the writing style of the book, I feel we don't really get to see her character very well. She does send a message to the landowner in the neighborhood saying like, please marry me. And then he's like, oh, does she like me? And then she's sort of like playing him a little bit as well. So I'm sort of in the midst of that plot line. I'm not sure how it's going to come together, but this is sort of like, to me, and I know people are not going to like this comparison for sure, but to me, this almost, like, I finally know where YA authors get their inspiration for love triangles, because we have one here. It's not even a triangle, it's more like a quadruplet, yeah. So 4 people who are somehow like all linked to this lady, like they don't all know each other, but it's, I don't know, I was part frustrated with the book. It isn't a very difficult read per se, so I'm pretty sure I can keep going. But yeah, I do want to finish it. I do feel compelled enough to try it, but since I'm now in such a bad slump, the other books that I was hoping to read, because I thought, oh, it's a short one, I can read it in like a day, I'm going to skip those, and I'm just going to go for, like, my next read is really going to be something I'm like super excited for. You know, really something, I'm probably just going to pick up another Sarah J. Maas, or like a J. Kristoff Nevernight continuation. Like, I'm just really craving like a good fantasy book right now. So I am going to finish it, and then I'm going to move on to something else. And then I'm pretty sure that this month I can like ease my way back into it and pick it back up. It really doesn't matter if I hit my Goodreads goal, yes or no. It really doesn't. I just had other priorities. I was just not feeling it. I didn't think about reading. And I was like, oh yeah, I haven't read a book in over a month now. And I was like, oh. And then just this past weekend, I was like, oh yeah, I might be able to read a bit on Saturday or something, like, you know. But then before that, I wasn't really into it. So hopefully this weekend I can make some time and finish this one so I can move on to another book. That is definitely the plan. And then, yeah, this is a bit of a disappointing wrap up because I only read one book that I wasn't even really into. I'm in the midst of a book that I'm also not super into. So I hope this wasn't too negative for you. I mean, I think this just kind of happens to people, right? We just kind of lose interest sometimes, and I think that's okay. But yeah, major reading slump here. I hope to be able to climb out of it. So if you have any tips for me how you usually get out of reading slumps, then let me know. And then we'll talk again next week, I'm pretty sure. So I hope to have another video up then. So see you in the next one. Bye bye.